Today we reveal the 10 toxic traits of a Capricorn. Our intention isn't to criticize, but to illuminate areas Capricorns may find challenging. Now let's unravel these traits one by one. Trait number 1, Capricorns can be notoriously stubborn. This tenacity is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can propel them to keep going when the going gets tough. They're the ones who, despite the odds, will cling to their convictions with an admirable, if not exasperating, resolve. Picture this, a Capricorn deciding to start a new diet. They won't just try it out. They'll commit to it with a steadfastness that can put the most determined of us to shame. But here's where the issue arises. This stubbornness can also lead to a reluctance to change or adapt. They might stubbornly stick to their ways, even when it's clear that a different approach might serve them better. This stubborn streak can also strain relationships. Imagine trying to convince a Capricorn that their tried-and-true method might not be the best way forward. It's like trying to move a mountain. Being firm is one thing, but excessive stubbornness can be a hindrance. Moving on to trait number 2. The second trait on our list is pessimism. Now, we all have those days when the glass seems half empty. But Capricorns can often find themselves stuck in a pessimistic mindset. This isn't about the occasional bad mood, but more of a sustained pattern of negative thinking that can taint their interactions and overall mood. Imagine a Capricorn receiving a compliment. Instead of accepting it graciously, they might dismiss it, thinking the person is just being polite. Or consider a Capricorn tackling a new project. The pessimistic Capricorn might spend more time worrying about what could go wrong rather than focusing on potential successes. But it's not all doom and gloom. Recognizing these tendencies is the first step to overcoming them. By consciously working on adopting a more positive outlook, Capricorns can break free from this cycle of pessimism. It's important to remember, a little positivity goes a long way. Now, on to trait number 3. Trait number 3, Capricorns can sometimes be workaholics. Now don't get me wrong, a strong work ethic is admirable. It's part of what makes a Capricorn so reliable and successful. But every rose has its thorn, and for Capricorns, it's the tendency to overwork. Imagine a Capricorn, eyes glued to the computer screen, tirelessly typing away, oblivious to the world outside. They're so engrossed in their work that they often forget to take care of themselves. They skip meals, miss out on sleep, and even neglect their personal relationships. This relentless drive to work can lead to burnout, physical and mental exhaustion, and can even strain their relationships with their loved ones. It's like they're on a never-ending treadmill, constantly running but not getting anywhere. It's important for Capricorns to remember that all work and no play isn't healthy. Remember, Capricorns, the world won't stop spinning if you take a break. Work is important, but so is balance. Now, let's move to trait number 4. Our fourth trait, Capricorns can be overly cautious. Now, caution is a good thing. It keeps us safe, it helps us avoid unnecessary risks. But like all good things, too much of it can be detrimental. For Capricorns, being overly cautious can sometimes limit their experiences and opportunities. Imagine a life lived in constant fear of the unknown, a life where every decision is weighed and measured 100 times over. This can often lead to missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. It can also lead to a life of regret where Capricorns might find themselves constantly wondering, what if? Being overly cautious can also hinder the development of meaningful relationships. It could lead to Capricorns keeping others at a safe distance, never truly allowing themselves to be vulnerable or to trust fully in others. But the wonderful thing about life is that it's a series of lessons. Capricorns can learn to step out of their comfort zones, to take calculated risks, and to embrace the unknown. Taking risks can be scary, but they can also lead to growth. Let's proceed to trait number 5. Trait number 5, Capricorns can be quite skeptical. This trait, while it can be beneficial in some situations, can also create barriers, especially when it comes to forming deep and meaningful relationships. Capricorn skepticism often stems from a desire to protect themselves from disappointment or betrayal. However, this protective mechanism can sometimes prevent them from fully opening up to others, causing potential partners or friends to feel undervalued or untrusted. Moreover, their skeptical nature can also hinder them from embracing new experiences. They might question the outcome or the purpose of an activity, missing out on the joy of spontaneity and the thrill of the unknown. This reluctance to trust the process can limit their personal growth and exploration of what life has to offer. Capricorns, remember, skepticism can be useful, but don't let it hold you back. A little trust can open up a world of possibilities. Now let's explore trait number 6. Our 6th trait, Capricorns can be unforgiving. Yes, you heard that right, folks. Capricorns have a tendency to hold on to grudges for an extended period of time. They remember every slight, every injustice, every time they felt wronged, and it's a trait that can be challenging. Imagine carrying a suitcase full of stones with you everywhere you go. Each stone represents a grudge, a past hurt, a betrayal. That's how Capricorns often walk through life, burdened by the weight of these unforgiving feelings. This can deeply affect their peace of mind and relationships. Holding on to grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It's only the Capricorn who suffers. It's crucial to remember that forgiveness is not about letting someone off the hook for their actions, but rather about releasing oneself from the burden of resentment. Forgiveness isn't just for others, it's for our peace of mind too. Now on to trait number 7. Trait number 7, Capricorns can be quite reserved. Now, being reserved isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can mean you're thoughtful, introspective, and not prone to oversharing. But for Capricorns, this trait can sometimes veer into the territory of being overly reserved, which can lead to feelings of isolation or missed opportunities for connection. Think about it. Being reserved can mean holding back in social situations, which can lead to others perceiving you as aloof or unapproachable. It can also mean not expressing your feelings or thoughts openly, which can result in misunderstandings or miscommunications in your personal or professional relationships. Remember, while it's perfectly okay to be reserved, it's also important to strike a balance. Being open and communicative can pave the way for meaningful connections and a richer, more fulfilling life. Opening up can be hard, but it also allows for deeper connections. Let's dive into trait number 8. Our 8th trait, Capricorns can be materialistic. Now, before we jump to conclusions, let's understand what we mean by materialistic. It doesn't mean Capricorns are shallow or greedy. It's more about how they often equate success with material wealth. This trait can sometimes overshadow their emotional well-being. For example, a Capricorn might work tirelessly to buy a luxurious car or a grand mansion, believing that these material possessions will bring them happiness. However, this overemphasis on material goods can often lead to neglecting their emotional needs and those of their loved ones. The pursuit of wealth isn't inherently bad. In fact, it can lead to financial stability, which is something we all strive for. But when it becomes the sole purpose of one's life, it can lead to a toxic cycle of never-ending desire for more, leaving little room for emotional growth or personal relationships. Remember, things are just things. Now let's look at trait number 9. Trait number 9, Capricorns can sometimes come off as a know-it-all. There's no denying the fact that Capricorns are exceptionally intelligent and knowledgeable. However, this can sometimes lead to a bit of a know-it-all attitude. They tend to believe they have all the answers, which can potentially create a barrier to learning new things. Imagine the world as a vast library of knowledge, and each of us is just a single book. When we assume we know it all, we close ourselves off to the wisdom contained in the other books. We must remember that learning is a lifelong journey, and there is always room to grow and expand. Similarly, this trait can also limit their openness to other perspectives. The world is a melting pot of diverse viewpoints, and embracing this diversity can lead to richer experiences and deeper understanding. Being open to learning is key to personal growth. Now let's tackle the final trait. Our final trait, Capricorns can be unyielding. This is when they dig their heels into the ground and refuse to budge, no matter what. This unwavering determination, while admirable, can sometimes be their downfall. Being unyielding can lead to missed opportunities for compromise and collaboration. Let's imagine a scenario where a Capricorn and their partner are planning a trip. The Capricorn is set on a specific destination and refuses to consider their partner's suggestion. This might lead to unnecessary tension and disappointment. Unyieldingness can also create hurdles in professional settings. For example, if a Capricorn is part of a team and they're unwilling to adapt to new ideas, it might limit the team's potential to innovate and succeed. So, to our Capricorn friends, while your steadfastness is one of your strengths, remember that flexibility is also a virtue. Being open to others' ideas and willing to compromise can lead to better relationships and more fruitful outcomes. Being flexible allows for greater harmony, from stubbornness to being unyielding. It's crucial to remember that self-awareness and growth can turn these traits into strengths. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about Capricorns, watch this next video here, where we bring you their best traits that make them the #1 zodiac sign. Until next time, take care.